What's up guys, Dark Dally here, and I have been continuing working on my Black Fortress and Sanctuary. There's been a lot of things done, and I want to go ahead and make this video now and show you what I've done and how I've done some of it before I get so far that I forget, what I've been doing. So first off, okay, the main building. Now I showed all of this in my previous video. There will be a link to that if you missed that. Still working on this. I haven't really done anything on my main building. In fact, it's become more cluttered because I've put some beds in here for the settlers to sleep in because I am redoing their building. So let's go on to the stuff that I have changed. Let's see. This is still all the same here. Now this has changed here. This is the hallway, which allows me to move from this side of the settlement to this side without exposing myself to fire from raiders. And this was just a hallway. I added, and I will show you this in detail, I'll show everything. I added a little stop in the middle here, which happens to have a great vantage point of my primary spot where the raiders usually come, which is here. Now my last raid was super mutants, as you can see, and their bodies are masked over here, but that's because I was shooting at them from here. Up there is actually a much better vantage point. Oh yes, and this is temporary, as are many of the things laying around here, because this is under construction. I wanted a nice flat place, as Sanctuary has few. That Sanctuary is so sloped. I wanted a nice place I could rug glitch, because I have a lot. I had to all these security fencing. I showed this in previous videos, and there's more that I've done since then. So I wanted a good place, a flat spot to rug glitch. So I have this little stop station here. It's got a great viewpoint. Above it is another one and a better one, and it has its own purpose. It could look a little better, but for what it is and what it does, it looks pretty good. And so then the hallway still hooks into this building, and now this building, if you may notice, has changed immensely. I've gone for, again, I kind of went a little artsy and did kind of like a modern skyscraper design, only, well, obviously much shorter. It doesn't need to be any taller than that. I wanted a cool look for it. That area, which I didn't know what to do with last time, now houses the generator for the settlement. So that's what's in there, and I'll show you all that stuff in a few minutes. Now what else I've done is I've added this shaft, this vertical shaft here, which is an elevator. And now that was tricky in closing it in concrete, because concrete didn't want to snap to elevators. Now the reason this is here, I'll show you why. If you've seen my previous videos, then you know that previously this here was the only entrance into the settlement, and it's designed so I can quickly lock that door out. The problem is when I do, it locks out everything from the outside, which is good, but it's also bad because there were times where I would lock it. I would travel somewhere else, and then for whatever reason, either I thought the raid was over or I accidentally fell, I would be back down here, and then I'd have no way to get back into my settlement. That, combined with the fact that it's simply good to have an entrance elsewhere, I said to myself, let's put an elevator up to this shaft. So now there's kind of a central entrance into this via this elevator. Again, still very much under construction. And I'll show you, as long as I'm writing up, I'll show you what I've done in this hallway, and then I'll come back to the elevator. So previously this was just a straight hallway, which ran from this, which is to be the control room, and it ran all the way here to where my crops and power supply are stored. I added this partly because I thought it would look good and break up the straight line of the hallway, which it does, and also because it makes a great vantage point to shoot down, because the raiders love to mass there because my food supply and power supply are over there. This gives a great vantage point of this part of the settlement. Now, I also added a room above it, which is accessible via these stairs here. This could use some cleaning up, but it's done fairly well. Might have to revisit it and clean it up a little bit. This room here was built for want of an area from which to launch explosives. The super mutant raid is really what spawned that need, because about 3 or 4 of them, maybe not, 3 or 4 of them had miniguns. Either that or they kept picking up the same minigun. Either way, I had a mass of super mutant masters and what are the other high ones? Butchers, and they were ridiculous, and the minigun was tearing my power armor apart, and I thought to myself, man, I need a place to launch explosives from, because all my windows have these screens over them. So I built this room. It's, you know, you kind of got to expose yourself to be up here. But I plan to have some weapon stands with missile launchers, some backup mini nukes and missiles and ammo cases, so that if you do have a massive raid, I can come up here, grab a missile launcher, launch some explosives, close this pack, and get back to cover. The weapon racks are up there. It's the same with these overhanging floors. It's to try to cover up this gap from the garage door. It looks a little ghetto if you look at it, but if you don't look at it, you don't even notice it. That's really the best tools I have to cover up a gap along the ceiling. So that's why that's there. I may as well show you the inside of my pyramid style building while I'm in here. I used a very large generator. I wanted to go on with this high-tech sci-fi look that I have started with the Black Institute walls. And so I chose this generator. The amount of energy provides, probably excessive, but I wanted it for the look. It looks nice in here. Now, much of this building is non-functional. Well, it's only to look good from the outside. Yeah, there's these, sorry about that, there we go. There's these gaps up here. Nothing I can really do about that. Normally I could cover these gaps up, but in this case I can't without making this look like absolute crap. I did have, if you recall in a previous video, I had some of these gaps in my main building and I fixed them, and you probably didn't even notice when I walked through. These are easy to fix, but in this case, because the walls, they come in one or more concrete wall widths, each time it goes up, it makes it impossible to put a uniform ceiling. So I did the best I could. I do have yet another vantage point to fire from right here, and this curved wall is simply to protect my generator from any gunfire. And there's no way you can, yeah. This window here is of no danger to the generator because they're, 2 stories down, they'd be shooting up. I don't know what it is they do to destroy generators. I've never physically seen them destroy generators, but we all know it happens. I assume they shoot them when you're not looking or when you're not at your settlement. So this is my generator room. I'm still working on getting power hooked up. I've only just started getting the power hooked up. Let's go on down to this elevator here. Now, here's the way I did this. Let me go ahead and go into build mode. It's not going to let you snap concrete to the walls of the elevator like it does warehouse pieces, because elevators are built to warehouse specifications, not to concrete specifications. It's taller. So how did I get it to line up and snap exactly to that? I have no idea. It was luck. It was sheer luck, I'll be honest with you. Here's what I did. Let's go ahead and move some of this stuff so we can see. I started off by putting the generator on this foundation. Now, I knew that if I went straight up with the concrete, it's not going to line up, because again, these are warehouse floors, not concrete floors. As you can see right here, this wall starts here and ends there at the ceiling. There's about 2 floor thicknesses height difference. So what I did was I made this foundation, and then I simply, let me show you I'll show you exactly what I did. Let's get rid of some of this crap. Let's go find what I was using. Okay. So the way you would do this is I went ahead, I grabbed a wall and I stuck it here. Okay, now that allowed me to put a wall here, get rid of that, and then what I did was I took this wall and I simply moved it down, and I ended up at this height right here. As you can see, this is the height I started. I monkeyed around with this until it was the right height to build off of. And if we go up here, you can see that while not exactly, it lines up pretty good. So that is how that was done. Unfortunately, if you want, I want to use this one uniform look. I don't want to deviate from it. I want this place to be, well, like I said, uniform, and there's no matching warehouse pieces, you know, that match this texture. I don't think, maybe wood, possibly wood, but the floors and ceilings would look off if I used wood, so it's a moot point. So here is the elevator which goes up. This allows me to enter the settlement from pretty much anywhere. Now while I'm over here, I've redone my settlers' quarters. Try to use some of the same style which I designed my quarters in. I wish I could remove this hedge, but even with my, you know, my scrap add-on, my scrap mod, which is awesome. I love this mod, and I reviewed it and said how much I love it. Even with it, I still cannot scrap this one bush, but it's okay. I designed this much in the same vein as I designed my own quarters. Got some work to do here to cover this up. What I'm doing is the trick I showed in my concrete tips video, which is where I simply created a flanking wall here, and I'm just going to run this down along, and this will cover up the building. And not only does it cover up the gap, it makes it look much, much nicer. Now, many people alerted me to the fact that you can put the concrete walls on top of the floors and then it goes straight down and you don't even need to cover anything up. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. In fact, I pointed that out in that video. But you're still sometimes going to end up with gaps, and that's what this is for. This is to cover up any ugly business that is left over from concrete. I do like to put them on the outside of foundations simply because it creates uniform floors and ceilings, like in here. But whatever. That said, that's being done there. I've used the same inner-outer curved wall, whatever you call this. I attached to the side of the building to match the one I did on my building. Just, again, architectural, you know, I want it to flow. Now in here I've actually used wood floors because I wanted carpet. I figured this is the settlers' quarters, so I want carpet. It made a little bit of trouble up here because though I could place, with unlocked settlement objects, I could place these carpet pieces on the floor, it's damn near impossible to line them up manually, seamlessly. So I went ahead and put a wood floor over a concrete floor, and the only place you can even see it is right here. And I used one of my basic techniques to do that. If you've seen my videos, you've seen how I do that. So this is the settlers' quarters. Hopefully should have room for all their beds and some seating and things so they can at least be comfortable. Now something else I've done is I have also taken steps to up the security. Besides offering more places to fire and cover from, I wanted security in these buildings. What I've done is what I said I was going to do. I've gone through and blocked them off, and I tried to do it. I wanted to use pieces that would somewhat blend in with the houses. Here I've used blue warehouse walls from unlocked settlement objects. Unlocked settlement objects mod is pretty much used absolutely everywhere here if you haven't figured that out yet. So, and here I've used the orange ones. The color doesn't match, no, but I'm trying to keep the same kind of textures. I want it to blend in. I don't want to block this off with the same textures I was using over here. It'd stand out and it'd look bad. So I'm trying to use the same kind of rundown textures to block off these houses. And what I've done is simply gone through and blocked off every single opening that a human being could fit through. Not just the doors, but all the windows too, because I have seen them. They will climb through the windows. They will take cover in these houses, and they do this little vault move where they vault in and out of the windows. A move which, as far as I know, you can't do, but yes, they can. So I have blocked off all the windows. There is no way for any human-sized or any sized NPC whatsoever to fit inside any of these. So that was actually fairly quick, you know, probably 20 minutes running around trying to get these to really line up and match. I haven't had a raid since I put these up, but I'm sure that they'll work. I wouldn't be surprised, however, to see that somehow they still get in there because, well, you know how NPCs like to just teleport places. Spend all this time building these awesome buildings just so settlers can stand on the roof. I swear. And so that's kind of the first step to my outer ring of security. I did mention something about wanting to put some walls out here just to limit the places that they could take cover. a commenter on one of my videos mentioned the possibility of a death claw, and yes, that is definitely something I've thought about. If you really want to increase security, especially with the difficulty that I'm playing at, as you know, as I've mentioned before, I'm running immersive gameplay, which makes, I wouldn't say it necessarily, it doesn't just make the difficulty harder, it makes it more realistic in a lot of ways. And a lot of things it does make harder. Death claws in this difficulty are brutal. They're not something that you run up to with your combat rifle and kill in 2 or 3 shots. The last and only one I fought, you know, was so far was the one at Concord, and I was like level 5. But also with this mod, your health doesn't go up. See, I'm level 16. I still have the same health I started at level 1. Your health doesn't go up. So I can't imagine a death claw at level 20 being any less deadly to me, except for maybe the fact that I'll have a better gun. What I'm getting at is that he picked me up and threw me in power armor and killed me in 1 shot. So they're actually really brutal, and on this difficulty I would love to see a death claw lay into some of these raiders. That would be a prize fight to watch, because of the things I said. So yes, so this is coming along quite nicely. So like, you know, I've added these rooms here, I've added the elevator, and then I have this tower here. Security is still the same. I still just have the 3 turrets, but the settlement, I mean, there's still so much. You know, I haven't even hooked up power yet. I've only just begun to run the power lines. I've removed the old water purifiers I was using because I want to use a cool VAULT-TEC one, which I think will match this structure a lot better. I decided I'm going to use, I love, you know, a lot of these mods. Yeah, I'm going to use one of these. I think this will really match my settlement structure a lot better. So I've removed the old water purifiers I have. What I'm getting at is that if you look at my stats up there, they're all messed up. You know, 0 water, I need to hook that up. But, you know, I wouldn't mind a little lower defense. I only have the 24 defense, but I'm fine with that because that's what I'm for. I provide the defense. And to lower your defenses, you know, the more likely you are to get attacks. And I like getting attacks. I like getting attacks because I like building defenses, you know, and so forth and so on. So there we go. So here's the progress I'm making on my Black Fortress at Sanctuary. Tell me what you think. If I missed anything you want to see, or, you know, whatever, let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, it's been a pleasure. My name is Dark Dally. I will catch you guys next time.